Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'll be doing the Traveling with Books tag. I was tagged by Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads. Thanks, Greg. And this was created by Gina Stay in Your Books. I'm going to look down for the prompts and the questions, and I will include the prompts and the questions down in the description area. But I'll be looking at the questions on my laptop, so you'll see me looking this way every so often. It's not because I'm scared to make eye contact. What did I do today? Because it is the weekend. I went to Pure Hockey, which is a big hockey store, and I had to turn in skates. A couple days ago, I decided I was going to start skating again. My daughter got a bike, and I wanted to be able to move with her, and it's exercise, which I need. So I went to Pure Hockey, and I got inline skates made by Bauer. Now, I've played hockey for a while, and I have these nice Bauer 195s or Nike Bauers, or probably about a decade old. Good skates, really good skates. And they're chewed up. Like they've seen some action. So, I love my skates. But I don't really roller skate or inline, and I haven't done that for a decade probably. So, when the guy was asking me if I knew how to skate, I was like, sure, yeah, no problem. And then I had to put on the skates and stand up in them to see if they felt good. And I almost fell over. And I found from that experience that ice skating and inline or roller skating is not the same thing. I probably knew that 10 years ago, but I've rediscovered that. So I got this cool hat that says Beer League All-Star because I played beer league hockey. There's a little hockey thing in the back. And then I got these skates, which are cool. They're actually the same kind of boot as the other one. This is Mission, but Mission was bought by Bauer. And their Supreme line, which is wider, was basically transitioned into Mission skates. So my 195 Bauers are basically the precursors to these Mission inline skates. Different kinds of skates, but I like Bauer 195, so I went with something that I was familiar with. And while we were there, I got my daughter's skates. Look how cute. They're little. Look how little they are. They weren't that bad. They weren't that expensive. And she got these little cute pink, purple, squeegee covers. And I just like these so much. And they look similar to mine. Which is cool. I have blue on mine. So I'm looking forward to taking her skating. But that's what we did. So on to the tag. Number 1. Do you read when you travel? I do. I read books when I travel. I read signs. And if I'm flying, I read the packet about safety. For books, there actually may be questions about how many books I read. I do read a book, and I try to pick something that is kind of related to where I'm going or related to the mentality that I'm going to have with where I'm going. So there's some purpose to it, but not a whole lot. Number 2, do you travel with paper books? Yes, I do. I only do paper books. So if I'm going to read, it's going to be a paper book, and generally paperback probably, but not always. So that was a pretty easy question. Number 3, do you travel with an e-reader? I do not. I don't have an e-reader. I'm not getting an e-reader, I think. I'm not asking for an e-reader. But I travel with paper books, and that's what I prefer. And I don't have the other kind, so I can't take that. Number 4, how many books do you pack when you travel? Probably 1 or 2. What I've found is when I travel and I bring a book and I plan to read that book, I don't read that book very often because I'm generally not traveling alone and I have other responsibilities. I will typically read at night if I'm traveling before I go to bed, but depending on what kind of travel it is, that may be hard too. If I'm on a beach, then I might be reading by a pool, but I like to swim if I'm at a pool, and if I'm at the beach, I don't really like being in the sun or out in the heat too much. So it's not like I'm typically sitting in the sand reading a book. I would probably pick either night or morning to be in the pool and just read there. Or in my bed before I go to sleep if I'm traveling. Number 5, does where you go or how long you are traveling impact the amount or type of books that you take? Yes, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but where I'm going, I mean, within reason. I'm a mood reader, so I don't totally plan for where I'm going, but there's a good chance that where I'm going will affect my mood. So I read a book about a trader who got into drugs and had a lot of personal problems when we went on my honeymoon. That doesn't sound good the way I said that. When we went on our honeymoon, I read a book that I thought was kind of about living the high life, but it was actually a pretty painful book. It was The Buy Side. So I read that. We went to the beach this year and I took a book about whales because we were in the water. And I think last year I took maybe a book about sharks, maybe. So that kind of determines what I'm going to read in a way. But as far as how long, I don't travel very long, the most a week. So I might bring 1 or 2 books, but I'm a slow reader, so I can probably use a whole week to get through the book that I'm reading. And I might have a backup that I'll start to read. Number 6, do you buy books when traveling or visit bookshops and libraries? Sometimes. I think I've done this more since I started on BookTube, but I do like, I like going to old bookshops. I like going to antique stores. There's just something about like browsing those areas and feeling like you're looking at treasures that have been forgotten that I like. More recently, I've started looking for bookstores or comic book stores if we're going on vacation or we're in some destination. I try to look ahead of time to see if there's anything good there. There isn't always, but there has been. We went to the beach. I got Treasure Island from a bookstore on the Outer Banks. And it was a cool little bookstore. There were other bookstores I didn't get to. Last year when we went to the beach, I went to a couple bookstores, which I enjoyed. But I do like going to bookstores. And sometimes I'll buy books, but I don't go on vacation assuming that I'm going to buy books. So if I'm bringing a book, that's what I'm planning to read. And if I just see something that I really like, then I might buy another one while I'm out. I don't go to libraries. Not because I don't like them, I don't look up ahead of time. And if you're on vacation and you read slow, it doesn't make sense to go to a library because you can't return a book if you're going to leave. And if you're a slow reader, you're probably not going to get to a second book. Anyway, tag some travelers. I'm going to tag Matt from Matt's Bookshelf and Anne from Anne with a Book. So if you haven't done this tag, consider it. And if you have done this tag, you do not need to do it again. But thank you for paying attention. And thanks for being here today. Have a good one. Bye.